Good morning, everyone, and welcome. I am so glad that you're here today. Whether this is your very first League event or you've been with us for years and years, thank you for spending your Saturday morning with us. I'm Marianne Vega Clancy. I'm the president of the League of Women Voters of North County, San Diego. We have lots of familiar faces here. Who is here, though, for the very first time? Welcome. Welcome. Did you happen to get a postcard?
No, but my friend Christine did.
Thank you, Christine, and welcome, Susan.
Thank you.
We are an all-volunteer organization with a passion for educating voters and empowering them. I would like to just introduce you. We have a lot of League leaders here today. If you would just stand so that we can see you. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's okay. The League has and is and has always been an all-volunteer organization. We are powered by people who believe deeply in educating voters, protecting democracy, and empowering our communities to participate fully in our elections. We're brought together with passion, integrity, and the shared belief that democracy works best when everyone participates. So I'd like to recognize a few of our incredible volunteers. We have Mona Pastor, our VP of Events. You want to just stand here?
No.
Well, Rosette Garcia, Voter Service. Susan Connell, our webmaster and communications goddess. Is Carol Parker here? No. And Ginny will be here. We have Jill Cooper of Youth Voter Initiative. Yes. Mandy Butler, we'll be hearing from her with pros and cons. And Christine Dickens. Carol Jensen. Kathy Nauman. Here. Barb Soulier. Ann Olmsted. I think we all know Ann.
I'm on the water committee if anybody wants to join.
She's nominating committee this year, so she's taking nominations. Please make sure to introduce yourself to her. Marsha Johansson. Marsha Wiley. And many, many other helpers are here today. These leaders, but so many others who are here, are proof of what dedicated volunteers can accomplish together. Okay. So we're honored to begin our program today with a special recognition from the city of Carlsbad, celebrating the League of Women Voters of North County, San Diego during Women's History Month. This recognition reflects not only our history, but our continued impact. For more than a century, the League of Women Voters has worked to expand civic participation, ensure fair elections, and educate voters, work that remains as vital today as it did 100 years ago. So we're very proud to be recognized in this way, and especially fitting that this recognition comes from a leader who embodies these values. Mayor Pro Tem Priya Patel is a Carlsbad native, a public health professional, and devoted public servant, serving her second term on City Council. As a woman in public service, Mayor Pro Tem Patel stands as a powerful example of the impact that women can have when we step forward. So please join me in welcoming her. She'll read a special proclamation from Mayor Blackburn honoring our league.
Well, thank you for having me today. My name is Priya Patel. I'm the Mayor Pro Tem here in the city of Carlsbad. Of course, this is personal to me, so I'm just so glad that you all exist, and I am so glad for the work that you all do. I have a 5-year-old son, and then I have a 4-month-old daughter. And so this is definitely very personal because the work that you all are doing is going to continue to provide those rights and those resources to those children that we have in our community. And so thank you for doing what you do. It takes a village, and clearly you all have one. So I really appreciate it. With that, I don't want to take away too much from your program because I know you have a packed agenda. The mayor did send me with this proclamation, so I'll go ahead and read it for you here. Whereas the League of Women Voters is a national grassroots nonpartisan membership organization founded in 1920 after the ratification of the 19th Amendment, which secured women's right to vote, fundamental to a representative democracy with the mission of empowering voters and defending democracy. And whereas March, celebrated nationally as Women's History Month, provides an opportunity to recognize the League's continued role in advancing voter civic participation. And whereas League of Women Voters of North County, San Diego was established in 1962 when civic-minded North County residents came together to form the region's first local league, a tradition of service that now spans more than 60 years. And whereas the League of Women Voters of North San Diego County is a 100% all-volunteer nonprofit 501c3 organization that serves as a vital civic resource for the Carlsbad community. And whereas the League maintains a strict nonpartisan policy, does not support or oppose any political party, candidate, or elected office official, ensuring that its work remains focused solely on voters and public interest. And whereas LWV, I'm going to shorten this, so yeah. LWV and CSD provides Carlsbad residents with trusted, accessible, nonpartisan election information and helps the community understand local issues that directly affect quality of life, civic engagement, and democratic participation. Now, therefore, I am going to say my name, not the mayor's, because he's not here. Priya Patel, as the mayor pro tem of the city of Carlsbad, do proclaim this month as League of Women Voters of North County, San Diego. And so that's the proclamation. So I know that our entire council shares this sentiment. I know the mayor couldn't be here, so just on behalf of him as well, thank you for all that you all do. And I know we have a lot of women on our council, so I know that we all very much value the work that you do. So with that, I'll pass it off back to you.
What a wonderful way to start the meeting. So it bears repeating every time that the mission of the League of Women Voters is to encourage informed and active public participation in government and increase understanding of major public policy issues. The voter education work is at the heart of our League mission. We have been proudly nonpartisan since our founding more than 105 years ago. We do not support or oppose candidates or political parties, but we do hold elected officials accountable. That decision made in 1920 to be nonpartisan still guides our work today and allows us to rise above party politics to focus on what matters the very most, empowering voters and defending democracy. So now I'll turn things over. Today is all about fulfilling our mission of empowering voters and defending democracy. So I'll turn things over to Rosette Garcia, our voter service chair.
So, good morning, everybody. I'm thrilled to see this room full of people who are here to learn a little bit about what's coming in the primary election and in the general election. Moving on to today's agenda, we've already gone through item 1, yay. I'm going to spend a few minutes talking to you about the primary, what a primary is, and the kinds of things that you're going to see on your ballot. Then we're going to take a few minutes. I'll also spend some time on item 3, looking at new congressional districts. As you recall, we passed Prop 50 in November 2025, and so actually North County congressional districts had some pretty significant changes, and you may now be in a different district. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And then you'll hear from our voter service leadership team about our candidate forums, what we're doing in the primary and general election, what that is, what we do, our pros and cons, our voter service and youth voter initiative. And I'm sorry, there's one thing missing on there, Vote 411, which is also one of our voter service committees. So with that, let's move on. And what we're going to do throughout this presentation, we have quizzes that we're going to ask the audience, and No one is going to get kicked out if you have the wrong answer. But anyway, this is sort of a way to sort of kick off the topic that we're going to be discussing. So here's a hypothetical. We have the vote counts of a California primary election for governor. And there's Republican candidate number 1 with 20% of the vote, a second Republican candidate with 19% of the vote, a Democratic candidate with 18.5% of the vote, another one with 16, another one with 12, and then several remaining candidates with less than 10% of the vote. The question is, in California, in a governor's race, in a primary, which 2 candidates move on to the general election? A and B. A and B. So in California, and we're going to cover this, and apologies if you know all of this, but we encounter people all the time who are not aware of the fact that in California there was a top 2 candidates primary act passed in 2011. And what it did was it took most elected offices and turned them into what are called voter-nominated offices. They were previously known as partisan offices, and they include state constitutional offices, and that's the governor, lieutenant governor, secretary of state. All of those that are called out in our state constitution are now voter-nominated offices, even though they are still partisan, if you will. There is a party behind the name of each of those candidates. So all voter-nominated candidates are listed on one ballot, where previously, if you were a registered Republican, you got only the Republican candidates on your ballot, and if you were a Democrat, right? All the candidates for these offices appear on one ballot. Only the top 2 vote getters in the primary, regardless of party, move on to the general election. Write-in candidates for these offices can only run in a primary. No write-in candidates will appear in a general election. Okay? And here's the kicker. It does not apply to the President of the United States. That is still a partisan office, and you can only vote in a primary if you're registered in that party. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but I'll just leave it there. And also doesn't apply to county central committees, because those are party roles. Okay? So primary races. So here, I know, hopefully you can see this. So in the primary, in a midterm election, and I will say that a midterm election, which is what we're in right now, the primaries are different than a presidential primary election. Number one, when they take place. So a midterm election primary in California is in June. The presidential primary happens much earlier, in March, because we want to have a say, right, in a presidential primary. But here are the races that you're going to see in North County. Congressional districts, 48th, 49th, and 50th. All of those constitutional offices at the top, and then these are the other offices that, and in a midterm in the state of California, for state senate, which are every 4 years, it's the even numbered race districts that are up for election. And then the local races, we have D5, Board of Supervisors, County Treasurer, County Board of Education, District 3. That's just in the primary. That list gets way longer. All of the local races, city councils, school boards, mayors, those will be added for the general election. So last question on primary elections. If there are only 2 candidates in the primary, is there still a general election? In other words, 2 candidates and one is the top vote getter. Is there still a general election? Yes or no? Yes, there is. There is one exception, and it's the state superintendent of education. I can't remember I have to go back. State superintendent of public instruction can actually win in a primary. And if it's a special election, they can win in a primary, apparently. So the second question is, if a candidate wins a majority of the vote in the primary, is there still a general election? Yeah. Okay, great. So moving on to the Prop 50 new maps. As I said, the voters of California approved a constitutional amendment that put into place new maps for all elections between now and the new redistricting after the 2030 census. So the previous maps were drawn by an independent redistricting commission. It's called the CCRC, the California Citizens Redistricting Commission. And the new maps were drawn at the behest of Democrats in the legislature. So, and we have these maps up here if you want to take a look at them and look at them a little bit more carefully. But here's the 48th district, congressional district. It's currently represented by Darrell Issa. And you can see the shaded red area is the CCRC, the maps that were approved in 2021. Okay? The dark blue outlined area is the new 48th congressional district. And what happened was that the newly drawn map removes the eastern parts of San Diego County, including Poway, parts of Ramona, Julian, Alpine, Santee, Lakeside, and other rural areas south to the border, and adds, this is important for people in the room, some parts of San Marcos, Vista, Oceanside, Bonsall, Fallbrook, north to Riverside County, going all the way to Palm Springs. Okay? Here's the implications. The previous map, the CCRC map, California Citizens Redistricting Commission, had a party breakdown. And here we're only looking at Democrats and Republicans. There are many no party preference and other parties. But you can see that previously, this was what you would consider a safe Republican district. It had plus 14 Republican party registration. The new map changed that so that it added 8 percentage points in terms of representation to the Democratic Party representation. So now it's 36% Democratic Party to 32%. The Republicans lost 10% of their voters in that district. Okay. I want to point out that the source that we're using is Cal Matters. Maybe you all are familiar with them. They're a nonpartisan news organization. Very, very trusted resource, I would say. But I will tell you that some of these numbers, if you look at other websites, other entities that track this information, will have slight differences. So I just wanted to point that out. That's the 48th. Moving on to the 49th, currently represented by Mike Levin. Again, you can see the shaded red area was the previous district, and the dark blue is the new district. And what you can see primarily is a shift south, lost some of Orange County, and captured some of the area down below, which was previously Scott Peters' district. So lost Laguna Niguel, Dana Point. It now only goes as far north as San Clemente, and it goes down and moves south into La Jolla to the area that encompasses UCSD. Let's see what the implications here are. So previously, this district was roughly even. Some websites will tell you that it was maybe plus 1.5 Democrat, but Cal Matters reported it as even. And after Prop 50, it now moves to a +3 Democratic advantage. Okay? And I forgot to say this, but if we're willing to take questions throughout the presentation and also at the end. So if you have, yes?
I appear to be on the border. How would I find out which district I'm in?
We're going to have a QR code in just a minute that I'll share with you, but you can go to the San Diego SDvote.com, to the Register of Voters. You can go to the Secretary of State and hunt around and say, find my district. And you'll need to be, we do have some, but I'm not sure that any of these actually will take you to there. For sure, Vote 411 doesn't have it yet.
There's San Diego vote.
SD Vote, yeah. But that's just going to take you to, like, the voter registration page. It won't necessarily take you to the... Yeah, SD... Yes, no, of course. You can find out everything you need at sdvote.com or at the Secretary of State. I'm going to give you a QR code that will take you right to the website where you just put in your address and it'll tell you your congressional district. These are generic, to the Registrar of Voters in San Diego or whatever. And you could come take a look at the maps, and maybe you can kind of see your location on these maps. So here's the 50th. So Scott Peters, I'm sorry. So he currently represents it, and pretty significant changes to this district as well. Again, the shaded red is the old map, and the dark blue is outlined is the new congressional district. Yes. He picked up a lot of the area that was previously in the 48th, Darrell Isis district. But maybe you'll see why they did that. So previously, you can see this was an extremely safe Democratic district. So I'm just going to say what it looks like to me is that they took some of the voters the Democratic voters in this district and moved them out into areas where they thought they might be able to be used in other districts, right? So previously it was a +16D district. After the new maps were approved, the Prop 50 maps, it's only a +10D district, Democrat district. So here's the QR code. If you want to take a picture of it, you can use your phone. And it actually will take you to the Cal Matters website where you put in your address, and it will actually show you the previous district and the new district, and it will have a little dot for where your address is. Unfortunately, what it says proposed district. That means the new Prop 50, and current district. It doesn't, do you know what I mean? They haven't updated it. This was the map that they were using before Prop 50 was approved. So don't be confused. The proposed is the Prop 50 map, the new map, and the previous one is the 2021 map. But this was the best website and the easiest one to find this information. I checked out a bunch of them, and this one I thought was the easiest. But you can go to the Secretary of State, California Secretary of State. I think that's a really good website too, and hunt around and find it. And then we talked about what's going to be on your ballot. We didn't talk about the candidates. We thought it was just best to tell you what would be on the ballot, but this is a website you can go to. It's our local registrar of voters, and on March 26th, they will have a complete list of all of the qualified candidates who will be on the ballot. Okay? Yes, sir. Or yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. I don't have my glasses on.
That's okay. I have a question about filing deadlines.
Yes.
Is this appropriate to ask now?
Yeah. Well, and yes, sure. So the filing deadline was, Kathy, help me. So was just, I think it was last Wednesday.
March 6th.
I'm sorry?
March 6th.
March 6th, and then it was extended to the 11th if there was not an incumbent in the race.
If there was not a what?
An incumbent in the race.
So if there's an incumbent and there's a filing deadline and they still have 5 more days, because there's a lot of swapping at the last minute.
Yes.
What is the rule for that?
So that's the rule. The rule is that there's a filing deadline, and if there, which is a Friday, it was March 6th, and I know you're talking about the 48th. At the last minute, and this happened in a couple of other places as well, at the last minute, like 2 hours before, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on March 6th, Darrell Issa announced that he was retiring. So now there's no incumbent in the race. And Jim Desmond, who had actually already pulled papers to run in the 49th, decided to withdraw that those papers, those candidate filing papers, and to then instead run in the 48th. So then there was an extension of 5 days till the following Wednesday because there was now no incumbent in the race.
There's no incumbent.
If Issa had stayed in the race,
Yeah.
Friday would have been the filing deadline. Okay? And then there was also some question about, because these are all new districts, does that mean it's a new district with no incumbent?
Right.
And actually they ended up deciding that that's how they were going to treat it, as if there was no incumbent.
Thank you.
And so now with that, let's see, whoops. I'm going to call up Mandy Butler, who is our chair of pros and cons. Thank you, Mandy. Was that? Is it on or it's on? Oh, on. Okay, great.
Hi, I'm Mandy Butler. I am co-chair of the Pros and Cons Committee, along with Christine Dicken and Carol Parker, and I may be adding Mary Thompson to that list. Anyway, for those of you, probably most of you know, our committee focuses on educating voters about our state and local measures and propositions. And we develop summaries for the public. We go out and present to different organizations. And as you know, these propositions and measures can be confusing, so we try and come up with really concise, clear, easy to understand explanations and presentations. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start by giving a very brief overview of what's on the June primary ballot in terms of the local measures, and then what we're seeing for the November ballot for the state propositions, what that looks like so far. And then I'll just briefly go over our volunteer opportunities. So just to go over the June ballot, there's only 2 local measures, and they only affect some people within San Diego. The first one, Measure A, it's being called the empty homes tax, only affects City of San Diego residents. So probably for most people in this audience, you won't see this on the ballot. But it's kind of important because if this passes, something similar could happen in other areas in San Diego. So basically, this is a tax that they're going to put on empty houses that are vacant for more than 182 days a year. And basically, it's a pretty hefty tax. It's going to be $8,000 the first year, $10,000 in subsequent years. And if there's going to be an additional tax if that house is owned by a corporation. Basically, this is a way, it's intended to discourage vacancies and housing speculation, and basically get people to rent empty houses or sell empty houses. So that's the intention of this. I'm not going to go into detail. If you're interested in it, there's lots of information online. Needless to say, there's been a lot of people coming out already in support and against. A lot of nonprofit groups and unions have come out in favor of it. Needless to say, a lot of real estate groups, realtor groups, and the San Diego Taxpayers Association have come out against it. It is expected to raise about $10 million, more after that, and Berkeley and Oakland have similar measures. So, again,
Do you know if Berkeley or Oakland were challenged legally on the constitutionality?
I think they were, and this was, the way this was originally written, it was challenged. And it could still be challenged. It could still be challenged. So, okay, the next one, this will affect probably, a lot of people in the audience will probably see this on the ballot. It's Measure H. It's a Tri-City Health measure. It was proposed by the Tri-City Healthcare District Board of Directors. As probably a lot of you know, the Tri-City Healthcare District is a publicly funded hospital district, and they've had a lot of financial problems. So what the Board of Directors is proposing is that the Sharp healthcare system basically takes over running this system for the next 30 years. And it's something like Sharp will pay the Tri-City Healthcare District $1 a month and will invest $100 million in the system and will basically take over operations.
It's a lease.
And and the stated purpose is to improve local access to health care. Again, this is just for people within that district, and I'm not going to go into detail again. There's a lot online. Yeah?
How do you know what part of Oceanside or all of Oceanside?
I believe it's all of it. I haven't really looked into detail, but I think it's almost all of Oceanside, Carlsbad, and Vista, and then a couple of other outlying smaller areas. But I think it's most of it, yeah. So that's the only two measures on the June ballot. Again, yeah.
Can you clarify the whole thing about propositions and primaries and generals and they could go on the ballot?
Oh, yeah, I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Yeah. So again, there's no state measures, state propositions on the June ballot, and there's a reason for that, which we'll talk about next. Okay. So let's move on to the November election and kind of look at what's happening there. And I know a lot of you have been at the pros and cons talks before. So I have a question. Who remembers what are the two ways a proposition can get on the state ballot? A state proposition can get on the ballot. Yeah.
It could be collected by initiating petition, or it could be done by the legislature.
Right. So that is exactly right. The legislature can put propositions on the ballot. But we are one of the states that allows citizens to put propositions on the ballot by collecting signatures. And again, signatures, a group will get together, have a legal document written up that will have to be approved by the Secretary of State. And once the Secretary of State approves that, it can go out for signature collection. And again, somewhere between 500,000 to 800,000 signatures have to be collected depending on the type of proposition it will be. Now, primary ballots, the legislature has made a law, I can't remember what year, but citizen initiatives and referendum can not appear on primary ballots. Only legislative propositions could appear on a primary ballot. So that's why there's nothing, and this year there's nothing on this June primary ballot in terms of the state propositions. Does that answer your question? Okay. Okay, so again, so people are out there collecting signatures for November for propositions. So my next question is, how many citizen initiatives do you think have been cleared for the November ballot to collect signatures? This November. Does anybody remember 2024? Does anybody remember how many propositions are on the ballot? There were 5 legislative and 5 citizen initiatives. But again, the citizen initiatives, they get proposed and then they have to go out and collect signatures. If they don't collect enough, it's not going to be on the ballot. So take a wild guess. Who wants to take a guess? How many do you think are out?
30.
You're right. You're 30. You're 30. Out for collection. Now, my take-home message here is, and I put this up here because, again, does anyone in the audience want to see 30 propositions on the ballot? Raise your hand. So, again, the take-home message is, don't sign one of these petitions unless you really know what you're signing. And please tell other people the same thing. So, okay.
Where can we find the list of those 30?
On the Secretary of State. There's in little elections, there's ballot initiatives, and they tell you that, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. So let me just go to that. So here's what we know so far. so far, there are 3 legislative measures. I mean, those just will go on. And maybe one might get dropped, but I won't go into that. And then, like I said, there are 30 that have been cleared for circulation, for collecting signatures. 10 of those have at least 25% of the necessary signatures. Actually, I think it may have just jumped up to 11. Anyway, and 3 claim they have all the signatures. Yeah?
How many signatures do they need?
Well, it depends. If it's a constitutional amendment, they need 800,000 and something. If it's a statute, they just need 500 and something. 500,000 or something. So somewhere in that range. And both the 3 that have been submitted for raw counts and verification, so once they collect the signatures, the Secretary of State, they have to verify, they do like a random check. So there are 3 that are in for that. So the 3 claim they have enough signatures, and many of them say they have over 1 million, which gives them a big buffer. So, has anybody heard, does anybody know what any of these citizen initiatives are? Anybody heard anything?
The billion.
Yeah.
I beat you.
Yes.
The California version of the SAVE Act.
That's one, right. And we're going to talk about that.
Billionaire.
The billionaire's tax. Thank you. I did not plant these 2. Okay, those are the 2 I'm going to talk about. Anyway, so what I'm going to do, so again, there's a lot out there, and some of them are going to be very controversial if they make it on the ballot. But I just want to talk about 2 that have already gotten a lot of press. And one is our version of the SAVE Act. It's not quite as, I don't know, please. I won't make a judgment call. Okay, I better back off and not say that. Anyway, this is the California Voter ID Initiative. This one, they say they have all the signatures. And they claim they have over 1 million. So my guess is this will definitely be on the ballot. Again, citizen initiative. This would amend the California Constitution to require that voters present government ID. So right now, let me backtrack for a second. Right now, when you register to vote, you have to swear you're a citizen and present some type of ID. But after that, when you vote, you do not have to present ID. So this would make it so that if you vote at the polls, you have to present some type of government-issued identification, or if you vote by, mail-in ballot, you have to put like the last 4 digits of some kind of ID on the ballot when you go to sign it and send it in. The other thing is it will require the state to provide voter identification cards if people want them, and it will require election officials to annually report the percentage of each county's voters whose citizenship they've verified.
Report to whom?
To the Secretary of State. So, and this one already is getting a lot of press. So the group who got this on the ballot is Reform California, which is Carl DeMaio's group, Reform California. They're the one who really put this on the, haven't put this on the ballot yet, but got the citizen initiative started. There's also another group for California for Voter ID. A lot of people have already come out against it, including the State League of Women Voters. Also, the California Labor Federation, ACLU, Common Cause. There's probably going to be a lot more that are come out against it, or for it. So anyway, this one I'm pretty sure will be on the ballot, and I'm sure we'll be hearing about it. Yeah.
Do you feel free to say what the California State League of Women Voters argument against it is?
I don't think so.
No.
No, yeah, not yet. They will, I'm not yet. Because I don't have, I'm not yet, okay. So the other one you've probably heard about is this billionaire's tax initiative. This one has over 25% of the signatures collected. I don't know, if they'll make it on the ballot or not. But this one would put a one-time 5% tax on Californians with a net worth of more than $1 billion. California has an estimated 200 billionaires. So the Legislative Analyst's Office estimates the tax would generate tens of billions of dollars, and about 90% of the revenue would go to health care. And,
What are they taxing?
5% of what?
Net worth, so,
Net worth?
yes, net worth. And that would include, houses, et cetera. So the supporters of this, SEIU, UHW, are both healthcare unions. Rokana, who's our representative, and I don't know if you read, Bernie Sanders was out here a while ago promoting it. Opponents so far are Governor Newsom, and then Stop the Squeeze and Golden State Promise are two PACs that have been formed by billionaires. I guess. Yeah.
Do you know what Governor Newsom's opposition is?
Yeah, I didn't really want to get into arguments because I don't have everything pro and con. Yeah.
People didn't hear the question.
Oh, sorry. So yes, what his arguments are against it. I'm moving. Anyway, I don't want to go too much into the arguments, okay? We don't really have, so maybe afterwards we can talk about that, but anyway. Okay, so those are the two so far that I just wanted to give those as an example. But like I said, there's a lot more out there, getting signatures. Okay, so just very quickly, I just want to remind you what we do and what our volunteer opportunities are. So again, as I said, we research these propositions and local measures. We develop these concise summaries for the public. We present it to the community and basically promote informed voter participation. In terms of volunteer opportunities, if you remember, a lot of you who worked on this, we need researchers to research the local measures. I think there's going to be a fair number on the November ballot. Prepare the analysis for publication, vote 411, and no public speaking is required for this. Carol Parker and Mary Thompson, who just told me today she will do this, are going to organize this arm of our work. But we said if you like doing research, you don't want to do public speaking, this would be great. It's not a huge time commitment. The other thing we do is, as I said, we do presentations to the public. As a group, the presenters study and discuss these state propositions, and we then go out and deliver them to community organizations. This requires probably a lot more time, I would say, than doing the research, because you do have to study the propositions, we do training, and then you have to go out and present. So there's travel time, the presentation time. Although that depends on how many presentations you do. Christine Dickin, where are you, Christine, is my co-whatever on this. She's going to be doing all the scheduling, which is really a big part of this. She's already reached out to the groups we presented to in 2024. Already we have 3 groups lined up for November. So Christine is handling that, and she'll be handling the scheduling of the presenters as well. I will develop the PowerPoint, the slide deck for this, and do training of presenters. So that's the part I will do.
And I'd just like to say there's 2 presenters.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
That really does take a lot of responsibility off, and it's kind of fun out.
Yes, we always send 2 people out together. So if you're a newbie presenter, we'll send you out with an experienced presenter. Yes?
Will that be taped?
Yes. So we usually do a taped version of the presentation to put on YouTube, and so that people can watch that. And that's actually been a really effective way, I think, of reaching people. So most of our work, just to finish up, most of our work is done late summer and early fall. We'll start getting together to discuss the different measures and propositions, like the local measures we'll assign to research. Those of us who will be doing the presentations probably will start getting together in August, discussing the propositions and doing some workshops, these presentations, and then going out and presenting to different groups. As Christine mentioned, we do that in groups of 2, lots of training. We do and I will do the slide deck, so no one has to do that, and I'll have a script and everything. And I want to just say, one thing I want to mention is, I know a lot of people travel in this time period, but we'll be taping all our meetings. Even if you're worried, like Kathy Nauman, who I'm going to present next, She did it last year. She had some travel at the end of October, so she just did a bunch of presentations the first week of October. So we can work around travel schedules. We need presenters. Okay, so now I'm going to introduce Kathy. He'll talk.
It's a hard act to follow a university professor who's used to being up here presenting. But anyway, my name is Kathy Nauman, as Mandy said, and I am one of the co-chairs of the candidate forums, along with Susan Kabara, who couldn't be here today. So the candidate forums are one of the things that the League has been known for pretty much since the beginning, because they very much fit the mission of the League to empower voters by providing them with the opportunity to meet and learn about candidates in a fair and impartial format, and being able to ask questions that pertain to them and their concerns. Okay, so here is our test portion of candidate forums. These are just true and false. Just shout out what you think. The first one, League candidate forums are similar to a debate. False, correct. That is in our ground rules. The candidates sign a form that agrees this is not a debate. They are there to present themselves to the voters, not to debate or criticize their fellow candidate. Okay, next is candidates do not receive the questions they will be asked in advance of the forum. That's correct. Nobody knows what the questions will be. Next, we have encourage the audience to show their agreement or displeasure with candidate responses. False, yes. That is announced by the moderator in the beginning, that you may not cheer or boo or clap or anything. So that's one that we frequently have to come back with reminders on. The last one is, should you wear your candidate's t-shirt, button, or other campaign materials? No, that's one of the jobs of all of the volunteers when they're there, is to just notice if people, are wearing a button, a t-shirt, or whatever, asking them to turn their t-shirts inside out or take their hat off or what have you. Okay, so the different jobs that we have that we're looking for people to join our team on, we have the moderator, who is the person who introduces the candidates, tells the audience what all of the rules will be for the night, or the ground rules to follow. And then they actually ask the questions. They keep general control of the forum. And next we have our question sorters, which is going to change a little bit this year if you've done that in the past. All of our forums that we do will be, attendees will be asked to submit their questions ahead of time. So the question sorters are going to get those questions ahead of time to sort and look through. It's a really an important job because we really need to make sure that all the questions apply to the candidates in charge. For instance, if it's an assembly race, we don't want to be asking them questions about the school board. And in turn, if they're running for the school board, we're not going to ask them their view on foreign policy. Okay, so it's really a job to make sure, try and group them together by topic, and then they get passed off to the moderator, who will look at them and decide how to ask that question. And then our other really important job is the timekeeper, who sits in the front of the room with a little paddle, holds it up, and everybody can see. The moderator can see, the candidates can see, the audience can see when it's 1 minute left, 30 seconds, and then stop. And that's really important to make sure everybody feels like it's fair who's participating, the candidates. And our last job is the greeters and the logistics people, who kind of wear many hats, help with the setup of the forum. They help greet the people, kind of keep track of things that might be going on in the audience. If you see somebody filming, you would need to ask them to turn their camera off unless they have permission. They also carry the pencils and the cards to be able to say, in case the audience, even though we're going to take questions ahead of time, we will always allow people in the moment to ask a question if it comes up. So they will collect that. Sorry, keep going. Oh, sorry. And so that is their role. Sorry, I let it go too long, didn't I? Okay, that's right, I'm going to that one anyway. Okay, so the different ways, this is something we're looking at mixing up a little bit. Traditionally, we've always had the moderator-led at a venue, the candidates are up at podiums, and that is what we record and put up on our YouTube channel. So then, of course, COVID brought Zoom to everything. So making it through the COVID time, we became well-versed at being able to do one of these forums through Zoom. So we still offer that and let that be available, which works exactly like it does in one of our live ones. Now, we're looking at two different things that some other leagues are doing that we're hoping to implement this year. One is a roundtable idea, which is a little bit like speed dating, where you're like in a room and the candidates, there's a lot of tables, and the candidates would move from table to table. In the current environment, we're finding sometimes candidates are a little bit more hesitant to maybe want to stand up and have a live interaction on the stage. So this is something people are finding are working that we're looking at maybe trying. And the last new one we're doing is a little bit two ways. Doing one-on-one, where we have a moderator sitting at a venue and we invite the candidates in and record them with a set of questions. Everybody would have the same questions. They would have the same amount of time to answer, but they would just be questioned by themselves. And then we would be recording it and putting it up on our YouTube channel. With that also being the hope that we could also use some social media and try and share their views. Yes?
On the one interview, would they get the questions ahead of time on that one?
No. No, it would still be on, it'd still be the same idea of asking them in the moment what they think, but they just wouldn't be in the, might not be as controversial. Yes?
For virtual forums in this environment, somewhat post-COVID, how is it decided that they will happen? Does a candidate request it, or how is that decided?
Yes, it's usually a group comes to us and requests it. And we're making it now. We used to do kind of a co-sponsorship and really work, but now we're doing it where we'll do a partnership. For our one that's coming up, we're doing a partnership with them as opposed to them being really involved in the actual conducting of the forum. Right, okay, so they call us, they ask us if we will be willing to moderate a forum. I did it again.
All you have to do is
just wake it up.
Touch the trackpad.
Okay, don't touch that, or do touch that. Okay. So and the other, and just one more step on that. The other thing that we've also recently learned has been really successful is doing this same idea through Zoom, where the candidates are just in their home. We have a moderator, a timekeeper, everything, but they're asked the questions, we record a Zoom, and then we're able to put it up, which makes it a little bit more convenient to possibly get more candidates to participate. We're really looking at ways, we're trying to meet people where they're at. People don't always show up as much as they used to. They're getting a lot of their information online. So we're trying to, if that is an area of expertise you have in doing that, we would love to work with you because we're trying to get that going. You want to go ahead first?
In a district like the new 48,
yes.
Are you going to be working with League of Women Voters in Riverside County to cover some of these things? It's a candidate who has to be in 18 million places.
I know. I'll come to that. Like in 1 second on our next slide, I will kind of talk about that. Ann, did you have a question?
Yeah. Do you want to explain about the rule about the candidates if it's only one candidate, it's a no-go?
Correct. We send an invitation out to all qualified candidates. They are all invited to participate. And the rule is, if only one candidate says yes, we cannot have the forum. We will not hold the forum. We have to have at least 2 of the candidates available. And if that day of the forum, one of them cancels, we have to cancel the forum. We don't hold it with just one candidate. Right? Does that answer it, Matt? Okay. So getting into, yes, the 48th, as you mentioned, is now including almost all the way down to the border up into Palm Springs. So currently, Riverside County, some of them have filed to be on the ballot in Riverside County, some have filed in San Diego. So it's kind of still all coming together, even though March 6th was technically the deadline. Now they're all being vetted and in process if they're going to be on the ballot. So we're doing our best because our first forum that we're holding is April 9th, which is actually a private one held by a community that's requested it. It's very large, and they are going to do that. We're going to record that and put that up online, so hopefully that'll be available. We're trying to get as many candidates to participate in it as we can, but we still don't quite have the final count on who all that is. So last we looked, there was like possible 12 people. So we're working on that right now. But just to let everyone know, so this is our primary timeline in terms of if you want to volunteer and be a part of the team. These are really when we work. It's really election seasons. We've already done some trainings, and then before each forum, we usually get together and kind of run through so everybody's comfortable with the role they're going to play. And then come the general election, we'll work with getting forums set up and so forth. And then mid-August, we start our trainings, and then we go in September. By the time the mail-in ballots come out, May 1st, it's really our work is kind of done, and a month before the general election. Okay? So, you have to do it?
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay, any other questions before I pass it off? Yes?
How do we volunteer?
We're going to have sheets at the end. Yeah, thank you. Right behind us back on the back table when we're finished, okay? Any other questions? No? Okay, I'm going to pass off to Carol Jensen, who is going to talk about our voter outreach.
Thank you, Kathy. Okay, I have some really good news for you. No tests and no quizzes, none of that. Okay, so we're going to try to move along here. Okay, this is voter outreach, which is a really big deal in the League of Women Voters. The reason is because voter outreach is something that extends all through the year, not just during election time. We are out in the community. We are letting people know that we are here, the League of Women Voters. So, what does that mean, though, voter outreach? Sorry. In North County, we conduct tabling events, like, for instance, at the Escondido Fall Festival, and this one is a voter event that we conducted at the Juneteenth Festival. And I like this picture because it gives you a really close look at what tabling means and voter outreach means. There's a couple of clipboards here with registration forms. There's some postcards that talk about League of Women Voters. There's a really cool poster board that asks a question, why are you voting? You write a little post-it, put your answers up there. And then, of course, there's a couple of representatives from the League who are answering whatever questions you may have that pertain to voting, or I suppose Juneteenth as well. It's a lot of fun. We do voter registration events and presentations also at senior centers, and specifically, we go to Vista Correctional Center where we talk to folks there and explain what their voting rights are, because those can differ a little bit from people who are not in Vista Correctional Center. When it comes to voter registration, a couple things you should know. It can be done online, that's the training I mean. We encourage a little bit of expertise in the Voters' Choice Act, and why is that? Well, that's an act that was passed, excuse me, back in 2016, and what it did is it modernized California elections. It kind of streamlined the processes, and it made it more flexible and convenient for voters. So there's this phrase that we at YVI, and I'll get to that in a minute, we use in almost all of our presentations, and it is more days, more ways to vote. And what that means is once you mark your ballot, oh God, I wasn't going to let that happen. Once you mark your,
My fault.
okay, sorry. Once you mark your ballot, you have several options as to what you're going to do with that ballot in terms of sending it on to the registrar, to the county registrar. Okay, so one of the most important components of voter outreach is the Youth Voter Initiative. This is something that has been developed over the past couple years anyway, I want to say. And we call it YVI. We have 2 targets, North County high schools and North County colleges. As you know, tons of high schools in North County, but only 3 colleges. But the high schools that we really like to focus on are those who have an underrepresented voting population. So specifically, we do a lot of work in Escondido, a lot of work in Vista, also a lot of work in San Marcos. However, if other high schools contact us and say, hey, we'd like a presentation, well then we head there as well. As for the colleges, there are only 3 of them in North County. We have close connections with all of them, including both the student government leaders and the faculty leaders. So that's a little bit about what YVI does. And really quickly, I would like to acknowledge Jill Cooper, who runs YVI. Also, thank you, Jill, for all you do. Also, Marsha Wiley is in the audience. She's our technical wizard who helps us with all of these presentations that we put on, and we don't know what we would do without both of them. Okay, so I mentioned we have a high school program. We have several presentations, actually, which we frequently update. We try to tailor them to meet the needs of the youth voter. The Power of the Youth Vote and also Why Your Vote Matters. Those are 2 of the presentations that we've been using quite recently. Now, there is some really exciting news about YVI is also doing, particularly as it pertains to our high school outreach program, and that's called the Student Voting Ambassador Pilot Program. And what that does is we are training students to lead activities in order to increase civic engagement in high schools. There are a couple of other leagues that we know of that have this program up and running. It's very successful, and we're going to start ours in the fall, and we are expecting to see the same kind of success. Why it's important is because when the SVA students are trained, then they're going to become the leaders in voter education at their high schools, so that when we show up, the students will already know the value of their vote. And now, college outreach. So we have another section of YVI where we reach out to the 3 colleges in North County that we work with: Miracosta, Palomar, and Cal State San Marcos. What do we do there? Pretty much similar to what we do at the high schools, but there are some important differences too. We register students to vote. We also make presentations and develop other kinds of activities for the college students, because why? We're always looking for creative ways to connect. For example, we have a mock ballot party coming up next month at Cal State San Marcos. That's something brand new, never been done before, and we're really excited about that. And then also at Palomar College, they have a program called Rising Scholars. And this is a really interesting one too, because the students in the Rising Scholars program, they are formerly incarcerated. So they have different needs and different interests, let's say, than many of the other students on campus. Well, when we found out about Rising Scholars, we contacted the faculty advisor for that program, and we suggested coming and giving a presentation tailored to her students. And she thought that was a good idea, because the point of Rising Scholars is that these kids are there, or actually kids, I say, the ages range from 18 to 70 years old. But they go there because they want to take some classes, they want to try to improve their personal goals, their professional goals as well. And we figured, wouldn't it make sense for them to understand what their voting rights are too? So we're going to do that next month as well. That's at Palomar College. Okay, volunteer roles. This is the part that's really important. So there are a few different things you can do. First and foremost, sign up to register students to vote. And again, as Kathy said, the sign-ups are at the back of the room. Number 2, you could also sign up to be a presenter. What is a presenter? Well, it's pretty much what all of us have been doing this morning. And it's fun. I'm just going to tell you, it really is a lot of fun. Not kidding. And then also, the SVA program, that's the new one that's going to be launched in the fall. They're looking for 1, maybe 2 mentors who can help with the student voting ambassadors. So it would be a connection between the league and the kids at the particular high school where the SBA program is underway. The time commitment, 2 to 4 hour shifts. They're flexible. Voter registration training is also required, and what that means is it's about 45 minutes to an hour online. You can do it from the comfort of your home. And here is the real need. We have 10 events, possibly 12, coming up in the next 2 months, in April and May. So in case I haven't said it already, I most definitely need you. So back at that table, if you have questions, a few of us will be on hand to answer any questions, address your needs, whatever. But I'm hoping that you have found something interesting that you think you might want to help out with, particularly during the next few months. And now, that's it for me. No questions, right? Yep. Good. No questions. Let's just go through that. Thank you very much. I'm going to introduce to you now Julianne C. Oh, Julie. Okay, because I haven't met you, so I'm like, where is she? She's going to talk about trusted resources in terms of who the league likes to trust.
Hello. Again, I'm Julianne C. And I'm responsible for Vote 411's representation from San Diego County. So it's the League of Women Voters San Diego and your wonderful North County League. And we have such a good team in the past that we have now been assigned to cover the state contests as well. So you could be calling someone running for governor to encourage them to fill out their profile. So Vote 411, it's a new-ish platform for California, because we used to have our beautiful bespoke Voter's Edge that was just California. And now we have gone with the Vote 411 resource, which is the League of Women Voters of the United States. And sometimes it's a little bit one size fits most. For example, there's a message up there right now saying that information is coming in May. That is true in South Dakota for their June primary. California, we're going to try to get it up next week. So, and the holdup is that the Secretary of State needs to have their list of qualified candidates for the top of the ticket contests. And the official list will be published March 26th, but they are also, they have to give notice to all of the candidates who are on the ballot about who their competitors are. That's up as of this morning, and it has contact information. So we'll be pulling in some of that unofficial information and then just making sure that it gets updated when it's official. And I've got the black screen of death as well.
Sorry. There we go.
Okay. So volunteer opportunities for Vote 411. The research team, affectionately referred to as candidate stalking in some cases, we cannot invite them if we don't have contact info. And increasingly, especially following the assassination of state representatives in Minnesota, increasingly the candidates as well as the public officials have been very protective of some of their data. However, if you're running to be a public servant and the public can't communicate with you, there's a problem. So they're navigating that now. There was recent legislation as of January 1st that made it more difficult to find some of this, because I used to be able to go to the ROV and see the full unredacted forms, and that's not possible anymore. Anyway, so researchers, that's about 1 to 2 hours per week. Many people who work during the daytime love this kind of activity because they can do it at their leisure. The telephone team, that needs to be done in reasonable daylight hours. And there's a script provided. This is to encourage, we don't like to use the word nag, encourage the candidates to fill out their free candidate profile. And it can take 1 to 2 hours per week depending on how talkative your candidates are. Many people who run for public office are quite talkative indeed. So you have to stir the conversation back to, that's an excellent point that voters will want to see in your profile. Can you fill out your profile? Put that in your profile. And then there's the advanced data entry team, which it can be a little tricky. So if you're good at learning new electronic systems, we'd love to have you to help import data, including, let me see if I could remember. I missed it. I had to tap there first. I'm so sorry. One finger. So it's
just here.
Okay.
Track that.
We could use a lot of help, and they'll be doing things like entering the data that the pros and cons team develops. And the main activity is in March, April, May, and for the general election, it is August, September, October. We have many, 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 many more candidates and measures to be dealing with in November. So if you have any time to kind of be trained and get your feet wet in June, that would be wonderful. And it'd be lovely to have you on the team, and I will hand this on to the next speaker.
Thank you, Julianne. Is it me, Marianne, or is it? No, I guess it is me, right? So thank you. I think we have had some great presenters today, and I hope you've learned a lot. Thank you, Mandy. Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Julianne. Okay, so this More Days, More Ways to Vote, that is the Secretary of State's tagline, and we use it too. And what it means is that in the state of California, we do not have just election day, we have election season. You can start voting up to a month before election day. All active registered voters get their ballots in the mail. The minute you receive your ballot, you can start researching, fill out your ballot, and you can put it in the mail, drop it at a official drop box, or take it in person to any vote center in the county. So here are some important dates. April 23rd, the sort of preliminary voter information pamphlets will go out. Around May 4th, ballots will start to be mailed or may actually appear in your mailbox on that day. May 5th, the next day, the official ballot drop box is open, and you can actually start voting in person at the ROV on May 5th. May 18th is the voter registration deadline. What that means is that if you need to re-register or register to vote, either online or with the paper, voter registration, that is the last day that you can drop it in the mail or do it online. However, in the state of California, you can register to vote and vote at a vote center up until election day. So it's a little confusing. There's a voter registration deadline, but actually it's not until election day if you do it in person. So that's what it says. Or May 19th, voter registration at ROV or vote centers. May 23rd is when you can start voting early in person at any vote center. You don't have to go to one. There's no precincts anymore. That's the whole new vote center model. You can go to anywhere in the county to vote at a vote center if you want to vote in person. And June 2nd, we no longer call it election day. We call it the last day to vote. Okay? And then, just to recap, in case you haven't gotten this message, part of the reason that we're having this meeting is because we'd love you to get involved. Those of us who have done candidate form, all of this work, it is actually fun, it's rewarding, it's fulfilling, and we'd love to have you join us. So just to recap, year-round is our voter outreach YVI. We're always in schools and in colleges. It doesn't matter if it's election season or not. We're doing tabling events at Juneteenth or at the Escondido Fall Festival. And you can jump in and volunteer when it makes sense for you, and if you don't show up for months, it's okay. But put your name on our mailing list if you're interested. And then at election time, this is the beauty of these committees, is that it's very time limited. It's a little bit maybe, I don't want to say intense, but it's so fun. It's a, you know, but again, you decide how much you can do. But you get started 2 to 3 months before the election, and then 2 to 3 weeks before the election, you're done. And you're done. You come back next election season. So we have sign-up sheets at the back, and you've seen all the people who are involved. If you have any questions, please feel free to come up and ask us, and don't leave without putting your name on at least one sheet back there.
Thank you so much. I hope all of us have been educated a little bit. Even I learned a few new things. You might be interested in just helping in one area. You might be like Chris Harris and volunteer in every single one. You can do one event. You can work in one small area of one area and do other things as well. So a lot of us do love to participate in many different voter service activities. And I will also remind you that we have a website with a calendar, and there is the water interest group and the housing and homelessness interest group and a lot of other things you can get involved in during and before and after. And the units. We have 3 units now, the Carlsbad unit, the Inland unit, and the Oceanside Vista unit. So you can get involved in a very local unit. So go to our website, LWV-NCSD. If you were here in September and you signed up and you've been wondering, when is we going to get started? Hey, we're getting started now. It is now. The time that you have been waiting for is here. So sign up again. If you signed up in September, we'll be calling you. So grab a snack, walk around, talk to any one of us here, and let's get going. Thank you.